Well, well, well. Look at what time it is. It's time for me to finally remember to take my damn mic off of mute when I'm trying to speak. That's what time it is. What's up, dude? Welcome back. Welcome
Thanks,
back
buddy.
like we went somewhere.
We
Dude,
did. Just for 6 days or 7 days. We're back.
man, I'm so off my freaking game today. I don't know what's going on. I had the other show right before this one, and that went smooth. Everything was fine, and I don't know what the hell's happening.
You know, it's hard to keep up, buddy. It's just hard to keep up.
Well, I tell you what, I'm fucking it up at a rapid fucking pace, man. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, we're back to the ghost shit because you were just telling me that you're editing that video, the documentary video that you're doing right now,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and you picked up. So tell the audience because this is kind of continuate. Well, we're not going to continue. We're going to cover something different. But we talked about it last week a little bit, and then how with the growling or whatever. But you were just telling me that you left your mic. So tell that story about the mic. You left it in that same place, Edinburgh, right? Manor.
Yeah. So we actually what we did is we took a break in that same area that we talked about last week. We took a break, left all the cameras and all the recording instruments running on purpose, and we left the building, all seven of us, and we went over to the house, the sleeping quarters, whatever you want to call it, and we were gone for about a good 30 to 45 minutes for sure. And they were going back and listening. It was a lot more noise on that thing than I anticipated. At one point, I heard people talking. It was a very distinctly and very clearly a woman's voice and a guy's voice. I couldn't make out what they were saying. I probably could if I went back and tried to clean it up a little bit, but I know 100% that everybody was out of the building. But as I was telling you, I would be embarrassed to try to prove or use that as proof or show anybody that, because it's too easy to come back and say, yeah, well, there was probably somebody in there and you just didn't know it, or you thought everybody was out. But so I would never dare present that as evidence.
Yeah, but it's just more. It's kind of like you're adding a layer to something that we already talked about. Like we've discussed this several times. You can do with that what you want, but it is interesting. It's creepy as shit, though, right? Like you said, a woman's voice, and let's just say that even if it wasn't, it's the atmosphere. Yeah, that's weird.
So, I mean, if you followed us last month at all during our month of Halloween, and notice we talked a lot about scary movies and horror movies, and if that's your thing, this is a place to go, man, because believe it or whether you believe or don't believe, you still get creeped out being in that place.
Yeah, it's like a fucking haunted house, right?
Totally, man.
But you just kind of sit there and you're letting your imagination do the scares for you.
For sure. So anyway,
it's not your imagination.
It's yeah, and there were a lot of noises, man, that sounded like rocks being thrown. I don't know what it was, but to the best of my ability, that's kind of what it sounded like. Couldn't see anything. Nothing got picked up on video except for a couple of the REM pod hits. But again, I don't believe in that. Could be anything, man. Any type of electromagnetic interference could cause those to go off. So, as a matter of fact, handheld radios will make them go off. So I don't have a lot of faith in those. But so some of them were like further away. All of it was in the basement, all the noises. And then there were some that were like pretty close to the camera. You can tell the difference. In fact, I think I threw them away, but I had several, a whole page full of notes, different areas at different times where I heard things. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying it was paranormal. There could be a perfectly reasonable explanation for it. It could be paint falling off from the ceiling. Who knows? I mean, it's an abandoned building, but I'm just saying there was shit that happened. And if it can be debunked, hey, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's just
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not out
Well,
trying to prove shit other than again, I've had some experience I still don't believe though, man. It's so weird. I'm in that really weird area where I want to believe, and I've had these things happen, but I still can't bring myself to say I believe.
hmm yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Well, moving along. It's interesting nonetheless. So tonight, though, we're going to cover something a little bit more fun and not so chilling. What we did the Vietnam War last week, we said we would come back to that. That we're gonna. What are we gonna do with that? We're gonna go.
We're going to spread that out quite a bit.
Right.
We'll do some installments here and there.
Because we got to wait for the Vietnam War to develop more, right? We don't know what's going to become of that, so we got to wait until it plays itself out.
Oh, you mean part two?
Part two, yeah,
The
we got to wait to
sequel?
see what happens with the war.
Yeah, no shit. We're
Yeah, so tonight it's going to be the montage, right? We kind of slapped this together. This is something I've wanted to cover for a while. We talked about it before and laughed because anybody that knows about the montage, it is. I got the definition right here. It actually had one. So a lot of this stuff was news to me. But the montage, it is film editing technique in which a series of short shots are sequenced in to condense space, time, and information. So I titled this the montage, the lost art of getting to the fucking point, because they don't do it today, and it's not something that's I haven't noticed because I have, and it, I got. We can cover this at the end after we go over it, but I have my reasons why I think they don't do it anymore. I have my reasons also why I think that they would say they don't do it anymore.
now
But
who's they?
well, the film, the makers, the writers, the artistes, what do they call them?
I call them turds. I don't know what anybody else calls them. I mean, what
For
are you gonna
that,
do?
because I think that anybody nostalgia is going to remember the montage. We have some movies. Did you put together any movies? Because there's a ton of movies, but I couldn't come up with all of them. I even came up with a couple right before I hopped on here. I thought, shit, that's right. But if you were around in the 80s, you know what a montage is for sure. And so,
And
they
if
were,
you don't, shame on you.
yeah, shame on you for sure. So, so this kind of goes in line with everything that we like to talk about, uh, from the past. So, um, I'll read a little bit of something about it. So in French, the word montage applied to cinema simply denotes editing. In Soviet montage theory, as originally introduced outside the USSR by Sergei Einstein, another Einstein for you.
Interesting.
Yeah. Hold on here. It
I
was used.
just messed you up. Sorry.
What's that?
I just messed you up. Sorry.
No, you didn't. I'm trying to. I messed myself up here in my fucking notes. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so yeah, there we go. Yeah, so it was used to create symbolism. Later, the term montage sequence, used primarily by British and American studios, became the common technique to suggest the passage of time. So, what it basically would be is if someone's training, that's the ones I remember the most with the training montages, like for Rocky, because that was just, I think Rocky was a huge lover of the montage, but it did the job, right? It got to the point he's getting ready to fight someone. We don't need to go through his day-to-day training. And it would summarize it by he's doing one arm push-ups, or he's lifting a wheelbarrow up over his head, or
Right.
climbing a mountain in the middle of nowhere all by himself. They would do that, and then he could go on. So it showed his progression, and it did it quick. The montages enabled filmmakers to communicate a large amount of information to an audience over a shorter span of time by juxtaposing different shots, compressing time through editing, and intertwining multiple storylines of a narrative. So that pretty much just says what I said. Don Siegel once told Peter Bogdanovich, the montages were done then as they are done now. Oddly enough, because these go back, these were done in like the 30s and shit, which I
Wow,
guess
I
now
didn't know that.
that I think about it, remember like they'd show like I think it's Citizen Kane or something, like the newspapers, and they'd show the newspapers flying by, and over time, April, May, and it would show you, and it's finished in September, and it would have the news headline. They would do stuff like that. But he said the director casually shoots a few shots that he presumes will be used in the montage, and a cutter grabs a few stock shots and walks down with them to the man who's opening the optical printer and tells him to make some sort of mishmash out of it. He does, and that's what's labeled the montage. So the one I'm most familiar with is the sports montage, and that's the individual is shown in engaging physical training through a series of short cut sequences. An inspirational song, often fast-paced rock music, right? There ain't no way out, right? Or something like that.
For the
Typically
love of
provides the
God,
only
never
sound.
do that again.
What's that?
For the love of God, never do that again.
I actually fucked up the whole lyric, I think. But we'll get to that song. Typically provides the only sound. At the end of the montage, several weeks have elapsed in the course of just a few minutes, and the hero is now prepared for the big competition. So that's it in a nutshell. And I'm going to ask you, can you remember any? Because I sent you a list over. Like I said, maybe there's some that you can remember. But they were used all the time.
No retreat, no surrender. There was a big montage in there.
Okay.
That was actually one of Jean-Claude Goddamn Van Damme's first roles, believe it or not. And he basically played the enforcer.
Yeah, and I know Bloodsport had one too, right? Kuma.
Yes, yep,
Kuma.
sure did, yep.
They showed the freaking whole tournament, and it was fast. So they did it like that. They showed the fighting, who'd lose, who'd win, and how they were moving on. But is that how what would you say? Never.
No retreat, no surrender. It was such a cheesy 80s karate movie.
Mm-hmm.
Typical bully has to learn karate because he's, getting his ass kicked in tournament. And it was god awful. Even then it was awful, but
sounds like the Karate Kid. Was that before or after?
It right around the same time, kind of the same principle. And it was like, wasn't even the B rated. It was probably more like the D or F rated version of Karate Kid. It was just that low on the. It was just bad, dude.
Yeah, and Karate Kid, of course. That's another one that was relied heavily on the montage, right? You had to. You know what? I wish I would have had time to do was put the songs, because there's always that song. Would have been cool to kind of label the songs to the actual montage, because it was definitely a big part of it, right?
Well, Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, that was like numero uno.
Right. That was Rocky 3.
I don't even remember which one it was. All I know is
4, because that's when he fought Drago. Because I think Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Or was that number 2?
He died, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I should have wrote all this down. I should have looked it all up. I'd like to know, because now I'm thinking, what was Karate Kid's? I know he went through the whole thing. When they weren't doing the wax on and wax off, they were doing.
There was a lot of whacking off in that movie.
There's a lot of fucking waxing off and waxing.
What
off.
about the homoerotic montage in Top Gun, aka the volleyball scene?
See, now that's a tough one, because I've only seen that show one time, and I seen it for the first time ever during COVID.
Oh wow!
I've never seen that movie, dude. Like, I didn't get it. And then what sucked about it was seeing it at that time, years later. The nostalgia was gone. It wasn't a big thing for me. I was like, I've seen this show a million times, so I kind of cheated myself. But I was never a big Tom Cruise fan.
Me neither. I don't like him really hardly at all. But I saw that movie in the theaters, and so exactly what you just said, the nostalgia of it. There were several. I don't know about several. There were a couple montages in that movie for sure. But that, like you said, man, that was the 80s thing. Every movie seemed, if it was some kind of action movie, every movie in the 80s seemed like it had some sort of montage in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I miss them. I mean, I know that every now and again you'll be watching a show or a cartoon or something, and they will do the montage. It's kind of a joke at the time.
Right, right.
You just kind of poke fun at it, but it was efficient. It did the job. It really
As
did do the job. And
as a
um,
matter of fact, if I remember correctly, which I probably don't, I think even movies like Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2 had had their pseudo montages in there, making fun of obviously the montage.
yeah, and I haven't seen that show since the '90s or whatever the hell it came out. I think that was the early '90s, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And remember Sheen? He was all buffed and beefed up for that. And
yeah.
he used to fucking, remember they were dipping out. The part I always remember is because it was take on Rambo 3.
Yeah.
And he was dipping and Rambo dipped his hands in the glass with the plaster Paris or whatever the hell it was, and then in Hot Shots he fucking was dipping them in M&Ms and sprinkles,
The movies,
like
those
honey and yeah.
those movies are awful, but there's guilty pleasure, man. I love watching them.
I do too. I love Naked Guns. They were all kind of the same. Just a parody,
Yeah.
Airplane or shit like that. It was all
Oh, Airplane was. You can't recreate Airplane. They
no.
kind of tried when I guess it was, I don't remember when it was. Obviously, I think it was after 2010, maybe. But Snoop Dogg came out with the Soul Plane, and it was funny, but you just can't recreate the original, man.
No, no. That was good. I seen that in the theater as a kid, and I remember the booby scene. I was with my buddy. Shit, we were probably first grade or something, and
I would
I remember,
just
oh my god,
jiggle
boob.
into.
Yeah, they were real quick, but I was like, I was like, I was with my parents, and I was just so happy. Like I seen boobs. I remember looking at my friend and going, "Oh my god!" We were laughing at all the jokes because that kind of shit was funny to us. To a kid, Airplane was hilarious, right? Well, to adults, but as well. But when the boobs came across, that was enough for me. I could have just seen that one home,
It was strangely quiet after that,
God bless.
except for the sound of friction, and we're not sure where that came from.
So we did Karate Kid. That was a big one. Another one I put down was, and it's obviously Stallone is a big user of the montage because Over the Top has a little
Yeah.
scene. And then one I finally seen a few years ago. I couldn't sleep, and me, me and the wife were laying in bed, and she couldn't sleep either. And I I go, well, I'm gonna turn the TV on. It's probably like fucking 2 a.m. And The Cutting Edge. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's a skating movie. So there's like a
Toe pick.
toe pick.
Is that the right one? Is that the right movie I'm thinking of?
I don't know. Is that a line?
Yeah. So the guy's a former hockey player,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a figure skater.
and every time he falls on his ass, the smart ass cunt says toe pick.
Is that really okay? No, I didn't. You had me there because I didn't know. I've seen it a lot since. So this was probably 5 years ago, I think. But I'd never seen it before. I remember when it was on cable all the time.
Oh yeah.
But at that point, I was at that age where I didn't. I think maybe high school. And anyhow, I ended up watching it. So she couldn't get back to sleep. She's like, God damn. She's like, now I can't go back to sleep. So I want to watch this movie. And it was my very first time seeing it. But if it comes on now, I'll leave it on, man. It's a good like kick back a few drinks and just watch it. And again, it's short to the point. It's that 80s cheese that you're always going to get. But that has a good montage.
So I remember that because I had gotten pneumonia in the summer as a kid, and at that time that movie was on the HBO loop. So I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. So I'm stuck watching shit shows like that. So I don't know how many times I've seen it, but it's a lot.
It's a guilty pleasure, right? Because it's not
Yeah.
something that we should like, but
Ooh, I've got one you didn't probably never thought of. It's got a montage and everything.
okay.
Can't Buy Me Love.
Oh, dude. I'm trying to think of the montage though.
It has something to do with.
I own that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. Where's the montage?
I believe it has something to do. If I remember correctly, it's a mall scene where she's getting them all cool looking or
The
whatever.
glasses. She buys him the glasses. That's when they go.
I could be mistaken, man. It's been a long time since I've seen that.
I think I seen it just this summer. Yeah, that's a good summer movie.
Oh yeah,
Maybe you're right. I don't know. I can't recall it. I remember they do go to the mall and she buys him the glasses. I can't.
but I thought, and I could be wrong again, but because the deal was to make them cool, right? That was the deal, and so she brought him and bought him all these clothes and shoes and
Yeah, she
shit.
took him out. She goes, "Where?" He goes, "What are we gonna do?" She goes, "We're gonna get you some new clothes." And that's when she takes him. She buys him those glasses, and he's like, "Well, I don't have enough money for that." She goes, "Don't worry, plastic." She's
Yeah,
yeah, so she bought him that. But how it starts out at the first, remember she rips his sleeves off. They're getting ready to go into school. That's
I don't
actually a
remember
pretty good
that
scene
much.
because it's done so well between the two of them. She's really good. That actress, what was her name? Amanda Peterson. She's dead now. She died of a drug
Really?
overdose. But
Oh wow,
she was really good in that. She's only 15 years old, dude.
wow.
Like it's kind of fucking warped to watch that now. Because I remember in high school, I thought, oh, she's so hot, and all of my friends thought the same. And now you look back, God, she's 15. I think he was 21.
Yeah, but you know what, man? We're around the same age, so it wasn't creepy. You're not thinking like from a 50 something's perspective looking at a 15-year-old. You're thinking back to when you were a teenager the same age. So
Yeah,
it's not creepy to me from that perspective.
yeah, it's still creepy. I mean, it's still like I'll look and I'll be
It,
like, should I be? You're right, but then at the same time, you're like, it's a mind fuck. It's kind of like
yeah.
in that she's forever frozen as a 15-year-old girl. Now I've kept growing in real life, but then when I look at that and I see her, she's still a 15-year-old girl. But you're right, she would be older than me if she were still alive. But that's just so weird to me because he was 21,
Yeah.
she was 15, and then I think what ended up happening with her, um, was she was raped on the set of that. I think they were filming that movie, and she was raped by somebody. She never did say who.
Hmm.
Somebody raped her. So she's a 15-year-old girl on a set, raped, and I think it just fucked with her forever. So
It's
she
fucking
gets out of
horrible.
Hollywood. I think she does a few other movies, gets out of Hollywood, moves up to Colorado. I think Fort Collins, Colorado. I think that's where she died.
Hmm.
And just in and out of drug rehab and shit like that.
Yeah.
Probably, all that, whatever she went through. I think it was years later that she kind of brought it up, but nobody really knew. But it makes sense, right? She just couldn't get off drugs and probably try to self medicate.
Yeah, it's sad, man. I didn't know all that.
Yeah, it's a sad story, man, because I love that movie. It makes it weird to watch it. Um, because but it's still a part. I loved it. Everyone loved that show, dude. That show was so good back when it came out. It was a huge, massive hit.
Peter Dempsey, is that his name?
I think it's
Patrick.
Patrick. Yeah,
Yeah. Shows you how much I care about that fucking dude, huh?
right. Yeah, there
Doctor
was.
Doctor McDouchebag, I think is his name, right?
I think he was on. I never watched that show, but yeah,
Grey's Anatomy, was it?
yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's a fucking. To me, he'll always be Ronald Miller. So when they were calling him McDreamy, I'm like, no, it's fucking Ronald Miller.
Right.
I just always remember he's trying to pull a Ronald Miller scam.
Who's the I'm trying God, John Cusack was like king of those offshoot 80s movies.
One crazy summer.
Um,
What's your thing?
what was the one there was a something about skiing. I want my $2. Better Off Dead.
Better Off Dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Gross Point Blank.
Mm-hmm. He was in a ton. He was in 16 Candles. He had a brief part.
Mhm.
He was one of the nerds.
You know what? It's much as I hate to admit, I actually like that movie quite a bit.
Which one?
16
Oh,
Candles.
it's great, dude. That's John
Yeah.
Hughes. Yeah,
Yeah.
we could do a podcast, several podcasts on his shit alone. I'm actually going to bring one of his movies up tonight because he loved the montage too.
Mhm.
But yeah, he was great, dude. Like I'll be
Duh.
pulling out his like Christmas Vacation and
Oh, man.
Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck.
That's my favorite Christmas movie, man.
It's fucking great. And we'll have to do
People,
Christmas ones. We
definitely.
get a little bit closer to that.
People agree and disagree, but that to me, that's my favorite.
Fuck,
That
it's
just,
great. I've already
it's,
watched it, dude. It was my first Christmas movie because I had on an HBO Max and it was on there. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start off the season with that. I start early, dude. I'm like fucking 1st of November.
well, it's
Picking it
time.
up. It's time.
It's
So
time. I normally like to wait closer to Thanksgiving, but as a matter of fact, I'm surprised Connie hasn't broken the tree out yet.
we're putting ours up right now. And I got to decorate because I do that whole hill going down to the front. And I was trying to get out of that today. So I'm like, we have because we have all those lights, and every year we add something. But it's pretty much at this point, the kids like it, but we don't even see it really. It's just pretty much for the neighborhood at this point.
Mhm.
So now, as we started doing that each year, one of my neighbors adds something. My neighbor's already got his up across the way. He's probably about what? We're on a pretty separated area, but at night you can really see it in the dark. And it's gotten pretty big. We call it Christmas Valley now. But I was trying to kind of get out of it, and she's got this pressure on me now. She's like, "But what are the neighbors going to say?" And I'm like, "I don't fucking care what the neighbors say. This is I'm
How
not here."
often do you talk to your neighbors?
The ones around me, not a whole lot because I never see them because they're
Mhm.
like I said, we're kind of spaced out. But um,
Spaced
not
out,
enough to care
man.
about that. That's for sure. And the ones that probably like it the most are the ones that drive by and they see it. But that's kind of what she put the pressure on. Like, well, they're going to be let down. I'm like, well, they'll have to fucking get. I'll still do it. I mean, I'll end up doing it. But right now, I'm trying to narrow it out so I'm trying to get my job a little bit easier because it's a fucking process, right? Like carrying everything down that big hill and
I'd
setting it
say
up.
so. And
I'm
that's
just
a heck
trying
of
to.
a hill, man. People, obviously, we can't show them what your hill looks like, but it's a motherfucker, man. I got to
Yeah.
keep it in first in my Jeep going up the hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's steep.
It's up there. Yeah. Yeah.
But
And so I was kind of coming up with other ideas, but yeah. Anyhow, we're getting off. Let me give you one since we're on Hughes. Let me give you one of
I
his.
have breaking news for you first. And then I'm just going to,
Kamala Harris, president.
no, I'm going to throw it
Okay.
out there real quick
Not
and
that
then we'll
breaking.
come back and talk about it later. I've decided I'm not going to continue on in school. Please proceed, sir.
Well, that's going to be perfect for my next one. Breakfast Club.
Hey.
So remember the montage, and that's kind of when they're sitting there. They're all in this Saturday school. Yep, that's it. That's it. And I think they were. Yeah, that's what I remember the most.
When they were
That's a
smoking the
great one.
doobie.
That one does such a good job of showing them bonding because they all hate each other, and then the montage kicks in at the end of the montage. They don't hate each other so much. So we got to see some growth.
Massive orgy.
It would
Wait,
have been great,
never
right?
mind.
That was they left that out. That's on the special edition.
Oh, is that what it was? The director's cut?
Director's cut. John Hughes' porn director's cut.
That's funny, man. That I'm not ashamed to say is one of my more favorite movies to watch from the 80s.
Oh, it's awesome, dude. And at that time, it said I watched that show a bazillion times back then because it was always on HBO, and it's good to this day.
Yeah.
It's great. I try to get my kids to watch it, but I don't know if would it have the same effect. School was different, things were different. Definitely, the pressures were different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have one?
The one I said earlier just kind of struck me. Can't Buy Me Love. Again, pick any of your action, any of your Jean-Claude movies, any of your remember oh crap, what was it? Nope, there goes that thought. See ya. It'll come back later.
Gone, dude.
Bloodsport was a good one, but it seemed like so we had Bloodsport and then Kickboxer came out shortly afterwards, and it seemed like that was a carbon clone of Bloodsport.
Is that the one where he's kicking it with his fucking leg? He's kicking that post.
Yeah. So of course there was the drunken monkey style montage when he gets drunk and fights in that little shithole bar in the village. Speaking of
Kickboxer,
yeah,
okay.
I have I've been to several of those little venues, if you will.
Yeah, little bars like that.
Fuck yeah, best times, man.
That's when he's dancing with the girls and
Yeah.
he does the fucking splits because there's not a Van Damme movie, dude, where that fucking guy didn't have to do. I mean, he was really. Can somebody be really good at the splits? Because
Apparently.
he was really good at the splits. But then he got up. If you go back and you watch that, he gets up, he does the splits between the two or three girls, and he sprouts back up and he does an ass shake.
Yeah.
He does the fucking quick ass shake. And I mean, that guy, dude, that fucking dude, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know sometimes.
Has he come out of the closet yet or what?
Dude, I don't know. It's like.
Interesting.
Is the dancing? Remember, he'd always look this stupid dancing like this, and he'd smile, and
it was painful.
I don't know if that's ever okay to do a splits, and then a recovery. What is that? What the word would be? A rebound into an ass shake.
Well, in his case, he can back it up, so I guess that'd be the only time it'd be all right.
Yeah. I think you'd be backing that shit up a lot, though, dude. Like if you did that in a bar.
Oh yeah.
If you did a splits and then into an ass shake, you're fighting that night.
Oh yeah.
No doubt about it. And the pussy's gone too, by the way, because if you did that in front of girls, especially in the 80s, they're gone.
Oh yeah.
They're walking. So you lost your girls, and now you got three guys standing behind you.
But fortunately, that was in Thailand, so he'll just pay for the pussy and be done with it.
Thailand? It's been a while since
I don't know if it was supposed to be Thailand, but it was shot in Thailand. So I mean, he's got that going for him. He can buy all the lady boys he wants.
Yeah, there's a. Yeah, well.
Again, I don't judge. If that's his thing, that's his thing. He's a big boy. Get it?
Yeah. And that was so 80s cheese too, right?
Oh,
but you wouldn't. I can't see any other actor. Like I can't see Tom Selleck or
serious actors.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I bet you Van Damme would have thought he was a serious actor. Dude, I don't even know if you can. I'm trying to think. Like Burt Reynolds, fuck no. You don't see Burt Reynolds get out of the Bandit and do his fucking splits.
I'm picturing it in my head
though. Fucking red shirt and those tight wrestler pants with
cowboy hat on.
Cowboy boots just going straight up off to the side, and then fucking rebound into an ass shake real quick, right? And then as what was it? Not Snowman? Was it Snowman?
Yeah.
Jerry Reed going, damn, Bandit, you still got it.
Or how about the Dukes of Hazzard? Then
oh yeah,
that's doing a hood slide across the car, down into the splits, popping back up in their little ass shake.
Dude, a fucking hood slide, so one of them sliding across the hood and the other one's on top of the fucking car.
Or even better,
down like this.
Even better, Boss Hogg and Roscoe Pico Train. Come on, Flash!
And you just see, it's kind of like they both, Boss Hogg and Roscoe, kind of look at each other with this really kind of like. And it's just a long silence. And then
uncomfortable.
Them boys doing what I think they're doing. Yeah.
Come on, Flash. Go.
Yeah, one of them sliding across the hood and the other one's doing the splits on the top.
Them old Duke boys. Oh, look at this. We got
I can't think of another actor that would do that.
I would do it.
Couldn't even probably get like mid-range.
Let me tell you what, dude. If I could do the splits like that, I would do it just because I could. I mean, it would be a joke, obviously,
Right.
but oh look, we got another chat bot. Let's make them go away.
Yeah, that's so anyhow, I got some popular movies here. I'd kind of name The Breakfast Club. Uh this is one my wife threw in here, The Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And you remember that movie?
I remember the movie, but I don't remember a montage in that
Yeah, the
movie.
montage. So Steve Martin's character, he's a beginner con artist, and Michael Caine's character is the master, the maestro. And he has this mansion, and Martin's character is like, man, what I would love to do to be like, man, what I wish I had your skills. So he ends up taking him under his study, and the montage is him teaching him how to be like learn the etiquettes of like using the solid forks and the right knives and how to drink wine and sniff wine and talk to women. So that's a quick montage before they go into their actual competition.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, it's just a brief one, but that just shows how commonly they were used, right? Like,
Yeah, and I watched that show or that movie not too long ago, actually, a couple months ago.
so there's a part in that movie. It gets me every time. Even today, I've been laughing at that same part. Fuck, I watched that show with my parents, so I was still with them, probably in high school, where Dr. Von Hausheisen or whatever his name is. Remember, because they make the gimmick to try to get $50,000 from that girl, and he pretends he's in a wheelchair. Steve Martin's character does, and he goes, "Oh, I need $50,000 to get this surgery done so he can walk again." So he tells her it's the doctor that he needs to give it to. Well, he goes down to the lobby, and Michael Caine's sidekick had overheard him talking. So he's in the lobby pretending to be the guy that can give him the surgery. And she takes you because, oh my God, how fortuitous that you're here. Let me take you up. I know somebody that wants to meet you. He's been doing nothing but talking about you. So he takes him up to the hotel room, and he goes, oh, so you can feel nothing? And he's like, starts tickling his feet. Tickle, tickle. And Steve Martin's face is priceless when he's tickling his feet. And then he goes over and he goes, huh? He goes, well, let me try something else. And he goes and gets one of those, like, I don't know what the hell it is, like a flower in a vase, but it has a stem, a long stem, kind of like a fencing sword, but a little more flexible. He goes, and he smacks him across his shins because he lifts his pant legs up. And dude, I don't want to go into the whole thing, but every time he starts doing that, Steve Martin's reactions is he's going, what the fuck is he going to do to me? Because he's got to pretend to be paralyzed, right? He can't give up the game. But
Right, he can't
I laugh
react.
out loud every time, dude. Every fucking time I watch that.
I'm trying to think of. Oh, okay, Goodfellas. I think you put that on the list.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, Goodfellas. Had that down, right?
But the montage.
That was Layla, right?
What's that?
Layla. Isn't that when they're covering up the bodies and
There were a couple I thought in that movie because there's one after they did the Lufthansa hit where it shows all these idiots went out and spent all the money like they weren't supposed to and being flash, and it shows.
That's it,
Yeah, there's a couple there.
yeah.
I think Casino had one too.
Yeah, it had to have, yeah.
Similar when the car blows up and shit.
Yeah. I don't think that Scorsese's using montages anymore because his last movie is like almost 4 hours long. I think he's said no more montages. Montages, he should be the one director that just fucking stands by the montage. Shorten that shit up a little bit, dude. You got to movies can't be almost 4 hours long. They just can't be.
Right. Yeah, you know what? I can't sit in a theater that long, dude.
Dude. That's like you're setting aside some time, right? So if you let's say, hey, I can kill a little bit of time before we do this, you're making plans. This is like a day in the fucking, it's like a camping trip, right? Like you're setting some time aside to go see a stupid movie. And no movie's ever been that good. Like I remember sitting through that stupid fucking Titanic back when that was popular, and everybody talked me into watching that shit. And then I think I was dating a girl at the time. She got the VHSs and goes, let's watch this. I heard it's real good. And I remember it had two of them, it had two VHSs.
Oh yeah, that's when you know you're fucked.
And I was like, fuck, man, I don't know.
You know what
how good can it be? Well, it wasn't.
You know what I liked the most about Titanic?
The
movie. The movie Titanic. Yeah, I fucking had the best nap, man. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely a fucking.
If you suffer from insomnia, put that movie in there.
That stupid thing, dude. But I guess you had to be. I actually knew people, like not friends of mine, but friends of or brothers of friends of mine, and they were going to see that stupid fucking thing. One guy seen it 10 times in the theater.
Gay?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, he ended up being gay later on. Yeah,
shocking. Get the fuck out of here.
He came out shortly after that, but nobody believed him. And then, yes, his dad was like arguing with him about it. No, you're not. Yeah, I am. No, you're not. Yeah, I am. No, you're not. Dad, I've seen Titanic 10 times. Yes, you are.
Oh wow. Oh my god, that's a dad in serious fucking denial, man.
Oh yeah, dude, it was a thing. I can vaguely remember it, but I just talked to my buddy because we hadn't seen each other in like 20 years. I said, "So whatever happened with him, dude? Your brother? Did he? Was that for real? Because he thought he was because he'd never been with a girl either. So he met some dude at the gym, and this guy was convincing him that he was gay. So his dad was really mad because like, well, how would you know? You've never had a piece anyway." And so they went down that road of
the potential fag. Did I tell you that story?
Yeah, dude, I remember seeing him, and he was a super nice kid. But I remember I didn't get too involved in it because I didn't give a shit. But I don't even think I gave it another thought until I talked to my buddy years later. And then sure, yeah, he's gay. So yeah, it stuck. He was right. He was right.
Whatever, man. Again, I don't judge. The only thing. I get upset when people get upset when you're making jokes and obviously trying to have a good time and have some humor about things because we don't have enough humor in this world anymore. Nobody likes to laugh and everybody's too serious. So fuck it, man. I love the gays. There's a lot of comic material in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure, dude. No, yeah, we've talked about that. That's another thing. I don't think it really... I don't think it bothers people as much as people like for people to think. It just doesn't. But that was one of those things. Like I think it bothered his dad more so because, and I can understand why he hadn't. How would you fucking know if how do you know that you like hamburgers if that's your favorite food and you want to eat hamburgers your whole life if you haven't even had a pizza? You don't. Maybe like both. But I think his argument was kind of that. Maybe that makes sense. It doesn't. But his argument was more or less like, in comparison to what, right? You've never even been on a date. So, and he was one of those kids too that he was. I didn't know him well, but he was very soft spoken. Mm-hmm. And I think more what his dad was concerned about was maybe he could be a little impressionable in the right hands. And I think that's what kind of bothered him the most. Again, turns out that's what he was. And maybe, dude, I don't know how that works. Maybe this guy could spot it or...
It's the gaydar, man.
Yeah, gaydar, dude. I have no idea, but I do know that, yes, he is. And that was fucking 25, 30 years ago, maybe.
Did I tell you my potential fag story? I had to have.
When you were gay?
No. Oh. So I didn't tell you the story then.
Potential, like you were potentially gay, and then.
So, I had this kid that worked for me. He was not very smart. He was average intelligence, but super hard worker, man. I would have taken 10 of him over the super smart ones that were just lazy pieces of shit any day. So one day I'm sitting there and I'm just staring at him. And he starts getting uncomfortable because I knew how to push his buttons. It was so fucking easy. And he's like, "What, Chief?" I'm like, "Carmen, I think you're a potential fag." He's like, I'm not a fag. I never said you were. I just said you're a potential fag. He goes, no. I said, well, how do you know? I said, you ever try it? And he's like, no, no, no. I said, that's my point. So long story short, we go through this whole rigmarole. I asked him what his favorite food was, and he told me and whatever it was. I said, well, how do you know? Because that's what I like to eat. I said, oh, there you go. So then he gets upset and he's like, well, Chief, you're a potential fag. I said, no, I'm not. Oh, that's what it was. I said, well, how do you know, Carmen? I said, have you ever sucked a dick? And he's like, well, no, Chief, no. I said, well, that's my point. You know, you could suck one tomorrow, find out it's the best thing since sliced bread, and there you go. You're moving on. And I won't judge you. I'm just pointing out the fact that the potential is there for you to like it. And that's when he got mad. He's like, no, I think you're a potential fag, Chief. I said, no, no, I'm not. He goes, how do you know? You ever suck a dick? I said, once. I didn't like it.
Once I was real drunk, and it
Right.
was me.
Suckered him right in, man. He was...
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I fucked that story all up, but it's a true story. I'm off my game
You have
tonight.
told me that one before.
I thought so, man. You should have stopped me. Fuck.
Well, it sounded like a new one because, and I think it's now. I think it sounded like a new one because you were fucking it up.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, because it's not the same one I heard.
Good point.
Maybe it is.
Good point.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, so you said Goodfellas. Scarface had one, dude, but I haven't seen Scarface in so long. I kind of wrote this one down based upon some of the shit I found online. Do you remember the Scarface one where he's building his empire? Because I think we don't actually get to see that, right?
I don't really remember it. I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't speak to it.
Yeah, I don't either. I just put it down. Maybe somebody will.
It's been years since I've seen that.
Now, I do remember this one. I do remember this. Footloose had a major montage, and I don't know if it was such a montage because you remember he's at the warehouse scene and he's dancing and he's doing the fucking whatever that dance.
Where they focus on the feet, right? The
Yeah,
camera's looking at the feet.
Is it Holding Out for a Hero or is that I'm Free? Kenny Loggins or something, some shit like because Kenny Loggins had.
Oh yeah. Kenny Loggins fucking was the king of the '80s movie soundtracks.
Sure,
He had to have what 4 or 5 songs in that movie alone.
Yeah, probably. But he's dancing through the warehouse or the industrial plant or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
But that one kind of served the purpose of because remember the whole thing was about dancing and we hadn't really seen him dance yet, and then we get to see him dance. So it kind of confirms that hey, this guy knows how to dance, I guess. But
Flash Dance.
never seen it.
All right, moving right along.
Have you?
Yeah.
When that movie came out, it was all the rage, dude. Like everybody was talking about that, but I was fucking like 8. So it was rated R, right? And I don't know what for. I've never seen it.
Again, it was one of those movies at that time where I was sick and it was in the HBO loop.
Yeah, does it? I've heard it doesn't hold up.
I couldn't tell you. I really didn't care for it back then.
Dude, she was so fucking hot. She's still hot. At least the last time I seen her, she was much older, and I was like, man, that's one of those naturally beautiful women. Like
for sure.
That like even as she ages, she doesn't look fucking. Yeah, she's got it going on.
Well, that's because she's half black, and as the African American community would say, "Black don't crack, motherfucker."
Is that what it is?
I don't know. That's what I'm going with.
Speaking of that, dude, they might be onto something because I was flipping through channels earlier, and Eddie Murphy's got a Christmas show, Candy Cane Lane, I think it's called.
Oh my God, really?
Dude, we watched a quick trailer of it, and that motherfucker doesn't look like he's aged at all. He's gonna be 10 years older than us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real close to it.
Dude. I'm really looking forward to that, though, man, because it'd be good to have Eddie back.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. Dirty Dancing. Not a huge Dirty Dancing fan. Didn't catch that one till later. Got a huge montage. Don't remember it.
I'm not a fan of that movie at all.
Yeah, I think that was I didn't watch it when it was popular. It was fucking insanely popular. But again, I was probably watching Van Damme movies at that point.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't watching people dance. I've seen it a couple times since. It's not a bad movie, but it, you know, I
It's
don't
not
remember.
my bag, baby.
I'm sure it had something to do with dancing.
It's not my bag, baby.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into it. So Eddie Murphy was born April 3rd, 1961. Yeah, so he's 9 years older than me.
Damn.
He looks good for
Yeah.
62. Wow. Good on him, man. Good for you, Eddie.
Yeah, good for him. He deserves it.
He does. It was a very formative time of my life was listening to Delirious and Raw. And how could you ever forget Saturday Night Live, man, with all his impersonations and, James Brown in the hot tub, buckwheat.
Yeah, he's probably one of their best, right? I think a lot of people would have said Chevy Chase, right? He was on for a year. Bill Murray. Belushi was pretty popular. Murphy, dude, for when I was growing up, the funniest shit I'd seen was with him in it.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood.
Dude,
Who is it?
Buckwheat.
Hey.
Oh, Tay. Buckwheat's been assassinated today. Remember they tried to kill him? Reagan scare. Yeah, the live footage of Buckwheat getting shot.
How about the James Brown hot? Come get in.
Yeah.
The water now. Hot tub.
That one. Oh man, it'll be good to have him back, right? Like, I hope that's a good show. Good
I hope so too, man.
I wonder what made him decide, because he just seemed like he especially now in this fucking environment, this woke environment. I wonder what made Eddie Murphy a legend, one of the best ever. He owned the fucking 80s, right?
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop, Coming to America, The Golden Child. I mean, he owned the 80s. I wonder what made him decide to come out now. Like this, if I was going to come out of acting, unless I had guarantees that you weren't going to wokeify everything I was in, there's no fucking way. If I were him, I'd say, I'll wait till all this shit's blown by. Unless you can make me guarantees. No woke shit, no pandering,
Well, I think it's a lot like Chappelle, man. He just doesn't give a fuck. You're not going to cancel somebody that doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They're going to have to make some concessions to him, right? He's going to say, at least I would hope he says, look, I'm not going to play that fucking game. You're not going to get in here just to throw shit in because you have a box to tick.
Maybe right now is the most opportune time to do something like this because of the writer's strike.
Well, that's over.
Is it over? I thought they were in week whatever.
No, that's the actors are still on strike.
Oh, well, fuck them too.
Yeah, fuck them all. Right?
But that's kind of my point, though. With all that crap going on, that's a great opportunity to fucking strike.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I hope it's really good, dude. I really legitimately, I hope that's kind of the problem today. There's not a lot on that's good because the writing's not good, and the writing is not good because they're more activists than they are.
For sure, they're writing not to hurt feelings, vice writing for comic value.
Yeah, I think they're just using it as vessels to get their fucking political points out.
I agree with that.
Yeah, instead of entertain. And I mean, it's pretty clear. Did you watch the new South Park, the Into the Pandaverse? Dude, it's so good. You should watch it. They break it down like they just make fun of it. It's good. You should check that out.
Is that on Netflix or Prime or?
I think it's on Paramount.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did an exclusive for that. I think that's what it's on. Pretty sure. But you should check it out because they just totally rip on. They let Disney have it, dude. But it's good. They point out all the shit that we've been talking about for a few years now. All right, here's another one. We had just watched this, I think in the summertime it was on, and we checked it out. Again, my wife brought this one up. 3 Men and a Baby. Remember,
God.
Remember because they start out and they're like, they don't know shit about kids. That was
right.
Kind of funny part. They're like 3 guys, 3 single guys with money, don't know shit about kids, and I think they do the montage when they're learning the diapers and learning how to feed, and they're all taking their turns. And
I've got the millennial version of that going on. I got a buddy of mine that He lives down the street, and it's him and two other dudes, and one of the dudes has a baby that he's got joint custody with the baby mama, right? And that's what they're saying. Yeah, we're like three men and a baby. I'm like, yeah, the fucking idiot fucking version.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because they're all 30 or below, and it's comical, man. But better them than me.
No shit, dude. Shit, yeah. Those baby years, thank God, are behind me. My youngest now is yeah, she's gonna be 14, and I couldn't
Crazy.
imagine. I can imagine having a fucking kid. I know some people that have like younger kids at our age.
Yeah.
They waited, or maybe they couldn't have one. Different reasons, but sometimes you just think, oh wow.
Well, I tell you, man, there for a while. Excuse me, sorry. Connie and I were trying to have kids, and we couldn't get pregnant, right? And so I had to seriously think, man. What do we do? Do we look at adoption? What do we do? And so we started talking about that more and more, and leaning towards the adoption route. And it was perfect, man. I had my eye on this 17-year-old little Korean girl that I wanted to fucking adopt, if you know what I'm saying. But seriously, she ended up having an ovarian cyst, and had that removed. And first try, I'm not shitting you. First try after that, bam, baby.
No shit.
Yep. I was worried, man. I thought my swimmers were swimming in a circle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely sad. I didn't have any trouble at all. Actually, it was the very first time. We were always pretty safe, and then the very first time, unsafe.
Buzzing.
That was it. Yeah.
I've had a lot of fucking scares. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
A lot. Of course, that was all BC.
Right. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
It's important that I throw that out there.
So that's all I got, dude. That's all I got on that. I'm sure there's more movies. I'll give you my take about why, whether you want it or not. I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah, I can ignore you.
The people, they don't do it anymore. And at least I can't think of it. If they do, they're generally making fun of it. And I have this theory behind it, and it's maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. I don't know. I'm probably in the middle of both, but I think even though we had the Scorsese's and he was using it, Spielberg's, we had some of the greatest, obviously, directors and writers of all time back in this era, and they didn't mind using it. At least some of them, not all of them, but a good portion of it. It was a pretty big thing, and it was used all the way back into the 30s, and then it just kind of falls off, probably somewhere in the 90s. But my theory is that the artists of today think they're way more talented than they are, because they're just not. And I think they think that's cheesy. And the montage was used as a vessel to speed the story along, right? But today, not only do they not do that, they got 15 minutes of, we're such good writers, we don't need that. We're going to use our talent, show you our art and our craft, and we're going to show you the story. So they would take a training session today and show you every fucking aspect of it. They would just show you all the details. The devil's in the details, and this is our art, this is our craft. So that's my theory on that. And then also they can't spout, they'll add another 15 minutes to spout their stupid fucking social commentaries and stuff like that. Because you can't even watch a comedy today that's under an hour and 45 minutes. They just don't know how to make them. They don't know how to do that. But I'll bet if you were to ask them, I'll bet they would say we don't use the montage because it's cheesy. And I'll bet the real answer would be we don't use the montage because it cheapens our writing. As movies have just gotten longer, and I've actually heard and seen writers yapping about it, and basically they don't feel their shit should be cut and edited. Obviously, Martin Scorsese gave that shit up a long time ago because he used to have 2-hour movies. Now he's almost got 4-hour movies. Less is more, guys. And there's a lot of people that should probably be using the fucking montage more. But that's just my idea on it. I think they're so fucking arrogant and egotistical. They don't think that a montage, they shouldn't have that in the way of their talent and their art.
Well, I'll tell you what, a montage done right can be a very important tool in a film. It gets you either caught up or it can bring you forward. But it has to be done right. If it's too cheesy, like Jean-Claude, whatever the fuck. Anyway, yeah, I don't think we'll see him
do the fucking splits right now. And
oh my god, people. I'm jerking off later. I mean, that's a horrible thing to get out of my head. Again, there was something else I wanted to tell you, and I don't remember. So I guess we'll just end it.
Yeah, well, again, man, if Scorsese can do it, half these fucking joke artists today can do it, right?
Oh, no doubt.
If he could do it in Goodfellas, one of the greatest movies. I love that fucking show. If he could do it for that, there's no reason why these slouches today couldn't do it. These fucking hacks, because that's what they are. Yeah, I mean, you're writing some of the worst shit that. The good writing's yet to come, dude. The good writing's yet to come, and that's going to be the writing about this writing. I keep saying this, dude. I say this almost every time we talk about this. I can't wait for a few years, probably 10, 20, when good writers are writing good work on how fucking shitty these writers are. Dude, it's going to be laughable when we go back and go, wow.
The only thing I can say to that is good luck.
Yeah. Dude, they'll be making movies about these movies going, can you fucking believe this shit? What was going on? Like the Star Wars, dude. I mean, how the hell do you mess up a guaranteed gold mine? But they did.
You throw a bunch of gay shit in it.
Look, you just don't make sense. That's really what it is. None of that shit. I remember going to see 2. We've seen that in the movie theater. And I said, I think I'm done. And the reason why is because when I went to, I seen the Empire Strikes Back in the theater. I remember going home. I was a kid, but I remember going home going, oh my God, it left the doors open. Han was in a carbonite chamber. Luke had just lost his hand. Darth Vader was Luke's dad. When I seen the newest one, the second one, it was kind of, they kept telling you, the media kept telling you it was like that. And I remember going, what do I take away from that? There's fucking nothing. It was just pretty much a movie that you just watched. There's no point to it. There was 0 point. And that is the epitome of a Star Wars. That's like, they didn't have a point. They just made shit up along the way, and they fucking ruined the franchise. And that's why you got to watch that South Park, dude. That new one, it's pretty good.
I'm for sure going to check it out. I used to like to watch South Park a lot, but kind of got old after a while. But yeah, I'll go back and check it out. For show. We say we get the hell out of here.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
All right.
That's it, man. That's the montage. I guess there's not much you can say about it other than go through the list of movies. Bring it back. We want that shit back. We want these movies down to an hour and a half. We want Martin Scorsese to quit trying for Academy Awards. We want him to get an Academy Award for the fucking montage.
And with that, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Peace out.